Welcome everyone to another tabletop review brought to you by me, Tabletop Junkie. And today we're going to talk about Castles and Crusades Codex Classicum. That is another religious codex. This one I think I like too. I think it might be also one of the earlier ones. I'm not sure if this one came first before all the other ones. This one seems relatively small and light on information compared to the other ones, but I mean, maybe it's because of what they were covering. It's hard to say, really. For starters, let's dive into this, and I am going to show off some of the art. Before we move on, I am going to show off some art real quick. We're not going to show off any of the information, but I do want to talk about the cover. I mean, there ain't going to be much to talk about, but because I'm very, everyone knows I'm very much a fanboy of Troll Lord games, and I very much love what we got going on here. Hang on one second. I'm turning on my nightlight. I have a Castle and Crusades nightlight. I have not been able to get to show anyone because, freaking sadly, I had an issue, and I want red. Actually, we're going to go strobe, where it cycles through colors. I have not been able to really talk about what's going on. I had to move. Long story short, I'm not going to go into it, but Tuesday I received a call about 6 a.m. and it was some bad news, and basically my girlfriend and I had to move. It was not. We're not going to go into all the details about what really happened, but it was just, it was something terrible, and we just made the move pretty quick. The changes were not, it was just like, okay, I'm not dealing with this because I got things going on in real life that, I'm sorry, was way more important than just being told, hey, you got to make changes in your life. Screw that. So I was like, yep, we're not playing around. Okay, Spartacus is in the chat, and he says the chicken is going to eat the popsicles. Yeah, okay, no, that was not the reason why. No, it was not the reason why. Just, life gets in the way. So I have sort of a new office space. So I'm able to, and this one I was able to carry my big, huge desk with me and was able to get back to a sense of normalcy of what I had before I made the last changes in my life. So we're not going to spend time on that because this review should be relatively short today. All right, so Castle and Crusades Codex Classicum. This covers, and it's probably going to be a little bit blurry because this is, for some reason, the program I'm using is having a hard, which is it's just a normal PDF program, but now if you got like Windows 11 and 12, they use some form of browser now, and it doesn't have a hard time rendering any of my books, just this one. So I don't know, maybe the art's just really good. I do like the art. I do like the detail that went into the art of this one. I like the lighting. And I like on how they're taking on, I think that might be a Hydra or just a bunch of snakes. And made by Brian Young. So hopefully we won't receive much more of that. But yeah, whenever I go off the screen off that, it's pretty good. So I do like the idea of, that was really detailed. I think that might have been the best detailed page yet. I don't know. Maybe we should look at all 6 codexes and see which cover we all like the most. Art is always nice when you do have it, yes. Because there was one book, it had cover art, but the art inside the book was very scarce, I think. I'll have to go through and see which codex this is. That was. It might be even this one. I'm not really sure. I will say this. This might be something where this project here, this set of reviews, might be something that we will revisit. Especially in the near future. And it's like, basically, we're not really revisiting it. We're just going over some things, and talking about it and having a good time. So, all right. So, this book, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm going to show you right here because I know I'm still screen sharing. Yes. This one only has 6 chapters. All the other books we covered, I think, had 7 or 8. Or just a little bit more. This one is, I wouldn't say it's a bit short. We're going to turn that off because you guys are not taking the information we're about to go over. I wouldn't say it's a bit short, but I know for a fact that I covered the previous codexes I covered were actually longer than this. So let's dive into this as well. So this does cover Roman and Greece. Excuse me. This does cover Roman Greece, both the history of the Romans and the history of the Greek. That is all the first chapter. It covers a lot of conflicts that Greece had, and it covers a lot of conflicts that Rome had. And it also covers major figures such as Alexander the Great. That one was actually the one that actually stood up to me more. It was Alexander the Great. We also have the Persian Wars that it does cover, and it does cover major events of those wars. So they do explore other places a little bit, such as India was a bit part of that. Not as much as what most people would believe, but it was a part of that. So that is pretty much the first chapter, is once again the history lesson. That's all it's been with all these books that we've had so far. So the format has not really changed at all. And like I said, this could also be an earlier one. The book's numbers, the way to find out is you look at the 5-digit numbers and see which one came first. For instance, if they start with a 1, if the number starts with a 1, that means it's the first printing. If it starts with an 8, that means it was the 8th printing, or it was part of the 8th printing. The way they do the serials are really cool, and it's really easy to follow. And then the second chapter, which I do love, so we get into the history of both Greece, Rome, and then the religions behind them. And then in the second chapter, we start covering mythical figures, and we start covering, mythical locations. The second chapters of every book has been really one of my greatest, because it talks about, in these myths, in these religions, how they view the world came about. Or at least their version of the world. There's a lot of it. And we do get a map of what this all covers, and of the many different states that they had, and such as the major places. Like, okay, so in ancient Greece you had Crete, Macedonia, Thrace, Propatis, Illyria. And then under them, so in Illyria we had the Apollonia, the Lychnidus, which had the Lycanites. We had the Lyncestis, and some of these names are there. And then we also had Mount Olympus. So yes, this does cover both mythical and real locations. Yeah, I did study that. We haven't made it that far yet, Chris. We're actually, we're actually going to cover that. I don't think I covered the Egyptian Codex. There is an Egyptian Codex that we will get to, and we will talk about that one. Save that for the future. So if anyone was wondering if you guys are in the chat, you do see where Sparta Chris does mention that, the Egyptians believe that one of the gods actually rubbed out the universe out of their genitals and ejaculated them into existence, as well as the world. And it's like, okay, yeah, like I said, each religion has their own beliefs. So, chapter 2, we cover a little bit more deeper into the myth of both Greece and Rome, and also as well as mythical myth locations that don't necessarily exist, but if they did exist, they're the potential place that they could, and then places that did exist. My favorite story for Greek mythology, or at least Greek history, is Sparta. And then when the Persian, I believe Sparta was Greek. Let me check that out. Can I check that out? Yes. Sparta was Greek polytheism. So, yeah, I was right about that. All right. I know that should have been an easy one, but you never know with that. So, we do cover a lot. There has been virtually no art. There's been a little bit of art, like this one. This one is what made me bring up the Spartans. I'm going to show you guys this picture. But other than that, this is just the first 2 chapters are pretty much chock full of a bunch of information, starting with real world history and then myth history. And there is a Spartan soldier right there. Watch out. That's either Spartan or Rome. I'm pretty sure that's Sparta. Let me check out Roman shields. Actually, we'll just do Spartan shields. Oh, yep, that's Sparta right there. That I was right. Haha. Just got to make sure I'm historically correct here. All right, and so moving on down. You guys don't get to see this because, like I said, this is chock full of information. I am, when it comes to the first 2, keeping the format and actually keeping a flow of things with these books, which makes it each book, the more you read them, the more you go through each one, the easier they get. It seems like because you do see that there is a trend. Thumbs up for the trend, thumbs up for the buttload of information, and thumbs up for the very little art, as well as a thumbs up for a map. Gotta say that. Yep. Yes. I will. We will have to. You know what? We will look that up before the end of the stream, Chris, to confirm that. But I believe you are correct about that. That the Spartans did believe that they were actually descendants of Hercules himself. That's why they believed they were near unstoppable. And actually, in all actuality, they were virtually near unstoppable. The story of 300 was actually based on a real battle that happened. It was only 300 Spartans against anywhere from 3,000 or more Persians. Like the original Spartan army was only 10% the size of the 10% or less, and I know it was no more than 10%. I will stick by this unless I'm proven wrong. Was 10% or less of the Persian army, and Persia, I think, originally took only 3,000 soldiers because they were only taking on 300. And, so they were like, we're 10 times bigger, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? The Spartans still kicked their butt. Seriously. That is something that I do recommend people looking into. Also, there's a movie about it. So watch the movie if you don't like reading. Although I wouldn't really watch the movie too much. I don't think it captures really well the horrors that those guys went through, because these are fathers and sons, and even I think they even had, if they could hold a sword, because they had to get 300, and there was something about them being short because they had to still recall and gather other peoples from other city-states, other members of their society, and I think it was definitely fathers and sons. They took the sons. If the sons were old enough to wield a sword and they were skilled, they went. The sons did go upon request, and it was sad because there was some of those if you guys know anything about the Greek culture, if they didn't lay with a woman, they actually felt bad for sending the sons who never actually got to mate with a female to go to war. Sex and cultural dominance, not cultural dominance, sex and dominating sex was like a big thing for that type of culture. I actually did study sexuality in college, and we actually did cover how the Greeks were very physical people. And I can't imagine Spartans being any different, given the fact they feel like they were, supposed descendants of Hercules. Heracles, yes. All right, so In chapter 2, we did get another. I don't really care for this one too much. This is where we're going to start talking about, because you guys do notice, um, they did break format here a little bit. We do get an extra. We get a couple classes. I think we get 4 of them. One of them is the Adventurer / Explorer class, which is a wisdom based class, and you get a nice like Greek figure. Wonder if that's Hercules next to a centaur, or it's supposed to be Heracles. I don't know, but I do like the art here, and they do cover the class. Abilities cartography. I'm not sure if this is a class that I would use in the realm of Paramore, but we never know. I do like having extra classes. Warrior taking out a Medusa, saving a girl from being turned to stone. They did believe in sacrifices as well. Okay, so chapter 3 is no different. About around this time, usually about halfway through the book, it's usually 3 or 4. We start covering monsters, and they did add us quite a bit of monsters in this one, such as the Antoloian boar. We did have something called an Acephalli. Not sure what an ace. Okay, so in the Hellenic sources, there are many stories of headless men that allegedly dwell beyond the known world. They are essentially the same, although what they do will vary, as some are cannibals and others, in later Christian literature, heretics. Oh wow, the Headless Horseman. Or my personal favorite, if you guys watch like the 12th Doctor, 11th or 12th Doctor, I believe it was the 11th Doctor, Matt Smith. They had the headless monks. That's what that reminds me of. I do believe in this one we do have a centaur. We even have an automaton, which is a small to giant. Automatons are constructed of metals and engineering to operate by programming. These machines in the ancient world are akin to futuristic robots. So you want to add a futuristic robot in this game? There you go. And I actually kind of like that. So, and I believe it's low to medium intelligence. A lot of things do vary with this. So, and then we even get right up for Cerberus, the 3-headed dog from Hades, or from the underworld. So lots of new stuff that you can actually use in your games. Definitely something to go look at. All right, so all of Chapter 3 is really just adding monsters. Nothing different from how these books were previously written. Even though that this one may be less, they still managed to put the monsters like halfway through. So format still keeps. I have to give them that. So far, I think we are. I'm going to say 4 thumbs up, no side thumbs, which is neutral, and no thumbs down yet. So we are doing pretty good. All right, I'm trying to get to the rest of... There is no art to show you. I would have to say that they did lack monster art quite a bit, but I mean, some of it maybe just... yeah. All right, so the next part is basically sorcery and prophecies that were around both in Greek and Roman culture. This does give us a little bit of insight between stuff like wizards, witches, low magic sorcery for private individuals, and then Theurgy, which is high magic. They do talk about magic and Roman sorcery, basically, what magic was like in Roman society as well as Greece. And then they do talk about, they do give us a magical class such as the Oracle, or they talk about how the Oracles were. We do get an Oracle class, which is playing a seer or Oracle isn't very easy or advantageous as one would think in the game. And that's part of that. But in the classical world, such as class is the Pythia in Greece or Sibyl to the Romans. So we do get an Oracle class. I believe we have Oracle classes from other codexes, but this I think each one is different. I have to go through, and that may be something we have to do is prepare. Is do that. Compare the classes all together, and then we also get another one called the Nuquamenus. The Nuquamenus is actually the basically it's a necromancer. Nequamenus is wisdom base. They believe in their deities to bring back the dead or to speak with the dead, but they're basically Greek and Roman necromancies. And then we start going into some histories of the gods battling each other. And you know what? That whole section you guys can check out for yourself. This talks about the Greek gods such as Zeus, Hera, Poseidon, Demeter, Athena, all of the Greek gods going up against wars of the Titans. And it even covers the gods in a bit more. It actually covers the gods individually in a bit more detail. These books have been known to do that, especially around this time. And then they even cover the Titans that they versed. And they actually have really good art. For instance, this is Demeter, goddess of the fields. Poseidon, I like on how they make him look. My favorite is always going to be, that one's Hera, queen of the gods. Zeus. They make him look pretty. See, my thing is, I like Zeus from like the God of War, the God of War one, long beard. They make him look pretty young in this one. But I mean, Zeus was young at one point in time. I don't think with the Titans we get very good pictures. So, but it does go through the history of the gods, their ascensions, and how they were created, and then it goes with how they the war that they had against the Titans. Ares, the god of war. I like on how they make Ares look, and he carries a Spartan shield. Spartans did worship the god of war, kind of heavily. Aphrodite. We have other pictures, but I'm not showing you all of them because then, for reasons I'm not showing you. You want to know more? Buy the book. I do highly recommend it. All right, let's get to the final rundown of this book. In the final rundown, I believe we do get, and I'm pretty sure we do, because we are actually less than 20 pages away from finishing as I'm going through these notes. Oh, yes. So, in Greek mythology, having demigods is, in the world, basically people, citizens, like humans in the world born from other gods. They actually do have a way for you to create a demigod and how that works. So that is something for you guys to look at. That's not something I'm going to use too much, but it does have some tables, and it's very easy to go through. So, and in the final book, once again, we come across a chapter that talks about the weapons, the armor that both the Romans and the Greeks have used, as well as how their tactics on battling. So, and in this chapter, we get a gladiator class. I honestly don't, you might as well just have a fighter class. I mean, gladiators are kind of fighters. They're actually very much actually, they're a bit more, what's the term I'm trying to look for? When it comes to the gladiator class, they are a bit different. There's gladiator types, and they are dressed up like the core class of the fighter, but they have been altered slightly bit to make them different. So, and that is pretty much the entire book. So, as far as chock full of information, artwork, the map, and easy to read with really good artwork, I'm gonna say about 4 thumbs up there. The only thing is, you do get kind of scarce on the monsters, so kind of like, I'm going to give that one a thumbs down. The Codex Classicum does seem kind of quick to get through, as well as, it doesn't seem to lack information, but the format does stay. So I do like that. Overall, I'm going to have to give it, it's not my most favorite thing to read, but I do like the Greek part a little bit, the history of the Greeks. So I'm going to give it, this one's kind of hard. I am going to give it a highly recommendation. Definitely a 8 out of 10. Maybe it could have been done just a little bit better. I'm not sure. But the fanboy in me would give it a 9 out of 10. regardless, regardless of which, definitely highly recommended. I am going to go through it and probably add a few of those things into my World of Paramore, but that is for the future, and that is not for today at all. So, there is, I gotta say, Spartacus is in the chat, everyone. I'm not gonna go through everything he said. You guys can go through and see about his comments. He did talk about, yes, even though the Greeks were very heavy on the whole sex thing, they did look at people who had above average size appendages would be bad marrying men because that's all they would think about. So yeah. And then they did I would say Greece, I have to say, in my books, hang on just a second. All right. The Greece, I think had, I mean, they were a very artistic culture, and they did respect the human body. But they were kind of like animalistic. I wouldn't say animalistic. It's kind of hard. They did have rituals and stuff that they did follow pertaining to that kind of act. And Zeus is the youngest among the parental Olympians. I didn't really think about that. Maybe that did follow that a bit more than most other media. So, all right, everybody. Well, like I said, I'm going to have the description in my description. I'm going to have a link to two sets of links. The first link is going to be towards the Codex Mythos or the Mythos books, which has got all 6 codexes as a bundle. I believe it's still on there for roughly $134. A little bit more if you got to pay for shipping. And then you can also, if you don't want to get all 6 books and you do want to check out the Codex Classicum, I do recommend all 6 books because they are all fun to read. And the Codex Classicum you can get online, I think for, let me check real quick. I'm going to pull up this here. There is a link to both. One to the bundle, which I think is still good. Let me check here. I'm on the main page. I'll see if they're still selling that in a bundle. It's not heavily featured, so we're going to check out here. Codex Classicum, you can get the print version by itself for $20. You can get the digital version by itself for $13.99, which is $14. Or you can get both for, well, there must be a sale on this or something, because you can get the print and digital for $23.99, which is $24, which that's not bad when you're looking at one being 20 and one being 14. That's like 34 altogether. You actually get a deal if you do the print and plus digital. And then the Mythos. Here we go. The Mythos bundles. You can get the print by itself for $134.99, basically $135. It's 6 hardcover books that covers the Codex Celtarum, the Codex Nordica, Classicum, Germania, Egyptian, and Slavorium. And I know we covered 3 of the books prior. This is the 4th one we're covering, so all we got left is Egyptian and Slavorium. Egyptian is going to be my last one. We're going to cover Egypt last. So, print by itself for all 6 books for this bundle is $135, roughly. You got to include shipping. If you get the digital, it's $120. So, really only $15 cheaper if you get the digital only. And then if you get the print and digital, you're looking at paying $135. So, your best bet, truthfully, is to get the print and digital versions of the bundle. And I have both links in my description. Something fun for everyone to do, basically check out. As well as promotions of my good friends, Jason Fox, as well as, Sparta Chris. I should have all their links in my description as well. So go ahead and check those out. That's all that I have at this time. I want to say thank you so much for tuning in, for everyone who did. If you do like what you see here, please leave a like and subscribe as well. I do highly recommend this book because it's just part of a larger collection that, never seems, even if parts of the books you're like, ooh, I want to see more. I felt like they felt short. It's not that disappointing because you're like, they're part of a larger collection. Things that, they could have fallen short just because they would like you, the GM, or in our case, the Castle Keeper, to come up with some of their own things and interpretations for your own world and use these books to mold your own world. Or help out mold the world of, Aries. Or Aries? No, Aired. Excuse me. Aired. I'm definitely going to be using these books to mold my own world of Paramore. I already have started using them. I did add in the Norse god Thor. Thor at one point in time did enter in the realm of Paramore, but we will talk about that another time. So, for everyone who's tuned in, please work hard, play hard, game on, everybody. Have a great and wonderful day.